What is going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome back to another post-commentary duel video. Got you guys a feature match for my locals a couple days ago that happened on Saturday, I believe, and we got Dino versus Sky Striker. Pretty interesting matchup, if you ask me. A lot of very powerful cards that Dino can take advantage of that really can put Sky Striker in a hard position. So Sky Striker going first, setting 3, passing it over to the Dino player, getting started with Lost World, trying to get some plays going with that. Fossil Dig met with Ash Blossom, so just going to set a card and pass. Our Sky Striker player is going to draw, set a card, and pass back. So a war of setting and passing here. Dino player is going to set, or not even set, just draw and pass again. Now the Sky Striker player getting started with the jamming waves to hit a set Solemn Warning, which is actually a pretty good hit, obviously, getting a card like Solemn Warning out of the way before you go into cards like possible potential Ray or, you know, Kagari off of this Area 0 here. Expecting to see some sort of plays like that. Definitely good to get that out of the way, so a nice hit off the jamming waves. Terraforming for the Area 0 and revealing the engage. Every Sky Striker player's best, you know, case scenario in most cases anyways, off the Area 0, grabbing that engage with plenty of spells in the grave at this point. Also, he's gonna waste no time and go for the search target off engage, which at this point is going to be Ray, so he can get his extra deck monsters going. Hayate, Kagari, Shizuku, all of these things having, I believe, 4 spells in grave upon the resolution. We'll get the draw on top of that search. Very, very optimal there. Ray swinging in for 15. Actually, Ray only swinging in for 1,000 because it is being dropped by 500 because of Lost World. So only dropping him down to 7,000 there. Otherwise would have been 15 all the way. Now Kagari is being boosted up by 400, putting it to 19. And also being dropped at the same time by Lost World, down by 500. So putting it down to a measly 14. So only taking 14 there off that Kagari swing, but it is a decent amount of damage. Lost World having a bit of a say on, you know, who's taking how much damage here, and it is a pretty good card at the end of the day, I would say. Very, very solid card. In the attack manipulation, a lot of times people forget, but it is a very real thing, and does something to take into account, because it can mess some things up when going for, you know, certain amounts of damage or trying to beat over things. It can really screw you over sometimes. So another engage being played, of course, the one you add back off the Kangari, going for the Afterburners, and then playing a copy of Upstart Goblin, going to give his opponent 1,000 life points here to draw an additional card. Following up now with Foolish Burial Goods, dumping the Metal Foes Fusion to the deck, or to the grave from the deck, putting it immediately back into the deck to draw another card. Hopefully it's not that Metal Foes Fusion. I don't remember exactly what he drew off that, but I don't think it was Metal Foes Fusion. Now linking in to another Sky Striker monster, going to be Shizuku here. End phase, activating Shizuku's effect to grab a Sky Striker spell from his deck that is different from the names that are in his graveyard. And of course, he has no other multi-rolls. We haven't seen it being played yet because multi-roll is only at 1, so we're going to go ahead and grab that. No problem. But Dogoran coming down now, off over the top of that Shizuku, shutting all of his Sky Striker spells off. Lost World attempting to activate. It's met with Ghost Ogre, which is pretty clutch. Kind of stop those cards from coming in. He does not want to get that token on his side of the field, because Lost World says that if a Dino monster is normal or special summoned, you can special summon a token to your opponent's side of the field, and while they control that token, they cannot target monsters except for tokens, which can really prove to be a pain, especially for a deck like Sky Striker. You're putting a monster in their main monster zone, which is turning off all their spells to begin with, but you're making it hard for them to target things that, you know, are their opponent's monsters in the first place, because they can only target that token. Slumber being activated now, summoning out Kumungus and Gamma Seal. Obviously giving himself the higher attack Kaiju here. Dino player sort of struggling to get things going here. Gonna swing over for 200, as they must attack after being summoned off of Slumber. They must attack if able, that being the clause that Slumber has. So drawing for turn, Sky Striker player checking some back row, seeing what he wants to do next. Still has an Area 0 in play. Plenty of spells in the graveyard. If he can get to a copy of Engage, it'd be very beneficial. Area 0 goes off and gets nothing. We see a Demise of the Land. I believe a Hand Trap and one other card there, so nothing useful off that Area 0. Would probably have like to see an engage, but going to slap down that afterburner and play, or slap down that multi-roll and then play afterburner to clear the Humongous. Normal summoning Ray, swinging for 15, since there's no Lost World on the field anymore, be able to swing directly for 15. Going into Hayate to swing for 15 again, and be able to dump a Sky Striker card, I believe, or spell, I think it's card, to the graveyard, going for Widow Anchor here. Definitely a card he wants to get into play if he hasn't got it into play as of yet. Now, I believe going into Shizuku here, only I believe the one Kagari has been used earlier on. And then playing Shark Cannon to banish the Humongous, trying to get some spells activated here for the multi-roll, I believe. So, going to set back now some cards. Going to set back just the Widow Anchor, interestingly enough, because I believe he's activated 2 Sky Striker spells this turn. So I think he could have perhaps gotten an additional spell off of that multi-roll. I'm not entirely sure, but now passing it over to our Dino player, getting started with the graveyard effect of Interrupted Slumber, which a lot of people tend to forget about. I know I do sometimes. You survive the slumber, you make a field, and you forget about the impending Kaiju that comes next turn, as we see here, going to grab Gamma Seal off of that slumber. Playing plenty of Kaijus in this build of dinosaurs. We've seen more Kaijus than we have Dinos at this point, but I guess it's not too bad since he is playing Sky Striker. Kaiju is a pretty good counter to Sky Striker. So giving him the Gamma Seal over top the Shizuku, summoning Dogoran from his hand, or reborning the Dogoran to trigger Lost World to put a token on the side of the field. Now, all non-dinos are losing 500 attack currently, so Gamma Seal is down by 500. And he is going to attack now with the Dogoran into the token. Now, instead of destroying the token, Lost World is going to protect it and allow him to destroy one dinosaur monster from his deck instead, going for Petty Ranodon, which, when upon destruction, allows him to special summon one level 4 or higher dinosaur type monster from his deck. But I believe it cannot attack if it is special summoned that way. So going for Pankratops, which is a really strong card here. Very, very strong card in the Sky Striker matchup. Just a continuous, sort of continuous, reoccurring card, at least in this deck. Plenty of ways to get Pankratops out in the field through Double Evolution Pill, Soul Eating Oviraptor's Revival Effect, and Petty Ranodon. And just so many ways to get this card on field, just to keep picking off those back. We're going to hit that set Widow Anchor that he saw him set in the previous turn. Unable to activate that in response, so just getting rid of that card for free. Going for now Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, laying it on here, destroying the Overtext Coatlas from his hand to book the Gamma Seal face down. And he destroys that Coatlas, which will of course allow him to grab Double Evolution Pill, banishing the Gamma Seal and the Coatlas to summon a level 7 or higher dinosaur type monster from his deck. And I believe he goes for another copy of Pankratops. Yeah, so Pankratops, 2 Pankratops on board in the same turn. Sky Striker's worst nightmare at this point. How will he be able to play around this? There's definitely ways to do so. We see the Pankratops being activated here early, it looks like, during the Sky Striker player's turn to clear the multi-roll. Not a bad play. Getting that off the field is certainly helpful. Flipping the Gamma Seal face up. Dinosaur player having a response, going to immediately waste no time and use the Conductor effect to book the Gamma Seal face down. Was it worth it? I'm not entirely sure. It seems a little bit premature at this point, but going to use Foolish Burial Goods, saving some time, dumping that Metalphos Fusion to the grave, and then immediately putting it back into the deck just to draw another card, of course. And hopefully he didn't draw that copy of Metalphos Fusion, but looks like Area 0 will prove that he didn't, because he's going to reveal 3 off the top and miss again on the Area 0. So that is quite unfortunate. 2 times in a row, I believe Area 0 has missed at this point. Would have liked to see literally any Sky Striker card, revealing the Double or Nothing and the Metalphos Fusion. Not great at all. So Conductor Tyranno now, of course, going to pass it back to the Dino player. Conductor Tyranno is going to send the Gamma Seal to the grave because it was in defense position, and going to attack into the token, not use the send effect, tried to destroy it. Lost World's going to activate, sending the Baby Ceratosaurus. Baby Ceratosaurus summoning the Oviraptor, and then using Oviraptor's effect, I believe, to add Miscellaneousaurus. Normal summoning that Miscellaneousaurus now to give him another token. The Jirac Egg token, going to attempt to destroy that. It will get destroyed because he can only use that effect of Lost World to protect once per turn. Destroying that to revive the Dino from his graveyard, and that is Pankratops. Now, I thought that Oviraptor could only revive level 4 or lower dinos, but it just has to destroy level 4 or lower, which those tokens do fit that. And he can revive any dinosaur from his graveyard, so Pankratops fits the bill. Going into Tornado Dragon, of all things, to pick off a set Demise of the Land. Seemingly not wanting to use that here. Area 0 now is able to get rid of the token here, no problem, because Area 0 says it sends that card to the graveyard. It does not destroy it, so he does not have to worry about Lost World protecting it when trying to clear it with Area 0. He's going to chain Tornado Dragon to clear the Area 0 to get Ray on board. So tons of back row hate here. The Dino, or the Sky Striker player, literally, this has to be your worst nightmare at this point. All of these, you know, Pankratops, Tornado Dragon, Ultimate Conductor, Tyranno, Lost World, just so many things to take into account here. But the Sky Striker player, nonetheless, seemingly trying to anyways, playing around all this back row hate. Playing a copy of Signet Universe, which boosts all Link monster control by 300 attack and allows you to shuffle any monster back in your grave back into the deck. And then as that card is destroyed, you can send all cards in the extra monster zone to the graveyard. So a pretty interesting tech to help recycle cards like Kagari and other Sky Striker Link monsters. Now, what we just saw happen there a moment ago was he tribute off the Tornado Dragon, or destroyed it for the Conductor effect, to attempt to book Ray, and Ray was chained to go into Kaina. Kaina on activation is going to be met with a Ghost Ogre, so I believe he targeted Pankratops for that, which is not too big of a deal. And I believe he couldn't even target it in the first place because of Lost World, so it doesn't matter. Going to pop the Signet Universe to prevent him from adding back Kagari, but it does not matter. Going into Nightmare Phoenix, clearing the Lost World, and then using Widow Anchor to take that copy of Conductor Tyranno and swing in for a game. Somehow the Sky Striker player able to come back through all of that. Earlier with that evolution pill, I was expecting an Overtext Coatlas to come out because I believe he is playing more than one copy of that. So I was expecting that to come out, but another Pankratops came out. But I don't know. What do you favor more in that situation, a pop or a spell or trap negation off of something like Overtext Coatlas? Just some things to take into account there. Dino going first and flipping up that anti-spell, not wasting any time in the standby phase. Our Sky Striker player going to set all of his cards, his entire hand, and just passing. And now going to go ahead and get started here after things have been set with the Area 0. And revealing 3 off the top, grabbing Ray, a Shark Cannon, and a Ghost Ogre, I believe. Definitely going to take that Ray and sending that evenly matched to the graveyard. Definitely don't need that card at this point. Now, Anti-Spell is probably one of the weakest cards that you could side against a deck like Sky Striker, because you can see they can do exactly what they just did here, and that is sort of just stall for a turn. And if you don't have a follow-up, odds are they're going to be able to come back and make plays happen. Going into Hayate off of that Hornet Drones, swinging in for 15. And we'll probably see that effect activate here. It is happening in damage calc, so I believe Ash Blossom won't be able to be activated in response, because that does happen in damage calc, I believe, but I'm not entirely sure on the ruling exactly how that would work. I think it might be able to, because Ash says it can negate effects, and I believe that's the only time you can do something in the damage step, when you're modifying attack, or damage calc, you're modifying the attack, or if you do have a card effect that says specifically to negate. So dumping the Area 0 to the graveyard, as it would seem, off of the Hayate, which is interesting. His hand must be pretty good at that point if that's what he's deciding to dump to the graveyard. So now here in main phase 2, using Widow Anchor to negate the Hayate, and then using Afterburner to destroy Hayate and clear the anti-spell fragrance, and then playing Engage. Looks like he's been doing that to get some extra spells into the graveyard to be able to get that draw, and it's met with Ash, which is unfortunate, but gonna just link into Kagari to add it back anyways, and go ahead and grab that Widow Anchor and also get a draw off of that, I believe. So trying at least as much as possible to keep that Engage in the grave, but of course Kagari did have something to say about that. Can't really stop that at this point. He could have let him add it back and then ashed it on that play, something what I would have done, but may not be too familiar with the Sky Striker matchup at this point. So linking off here finally the Kagari into Shizuku to grab a copy of Multi-Roll. Gonna have that for next turn, which is pretty crucial. Plenty of spells in the graveyard as well. So passing it over to the Dino player, he'll draw for turn. Does he have a card to turn off his set cards? Does he have more Kaijus, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, he does. He has the Interrupted Slumber, which I think is not a surprise at this point. I think the one thing I remember about seeing his build from a couple days ago is the fact that he's playing a lot of Kaijus in this build. I know my Lost World Dino deck profile, which you guys haven't seen yet, you can. It is on the channel. I don't play a huge Kaiju engine, because I feel like the Kaijus can brick when, you know, sometimes you'll be seeing Kaijus when you'd rather be seeing Dino cards, but to each their own, of course. So Ray will come out after the resolution of the Slumber, and then summoning Pankratops on top of that. So just the nightmare has sort of reoccurring here. You know, Pankratops and Kaijus all over the place. Kinda coming out, targeting the Dogoran, so cannot attack him even until the end of the next turn. And then still going to go into battle phase here and using Pankratops to run over the Kaina. Take a little bit of damage here. One thing I want to mention real quick as the Sky Striker player resolves his Area 0 is a quick shout out to our lovely sponsor over at Imperium Duelist. If you're interested in picking up any 2-player cloth playmat, zoned or unzoned, some amazing effect sleeves and non-effect sleeves, or some dice or calculator cases or anything of that nature, some high quality stuff, you can check them out down in the description below and use that discount code on the screen to save 10% off your entire order. Helps save you guys a little money and helps support me in the process. But let's get back to the game. Continuing on now, we see a Widow Anchor to take that Dogoran, no problem. And swinging in for plenty of damage here, dropping him pretty low after the attack with the Shizuku here, putting him down to 500. We haven't seen him play the multi-roll yet, but there it is. Sending that Dogoran to the graveyard to be able to clear that main monster zone, no problem. And at this point, things are looking pretty grim for our Dino player. No Dino cards seemingly that we've seen yet, and which is really, really unfortunate. Only seeing Slumbers and more Kaijus and Pankratops, which unfortunately doesn't look like it's going to be enough. And chaining that Eagle Booster in the end phase to be able to grab, get that extra spell engrave. Widow Anchor and being set as well here. The Gamma Seal going over top the Shizuku, which does turn off the Widow Anchor, which is pretty key. Now using Miscellaneous Source to banish itself and the Dogoran to summon out Petty Ranadon. Probably just going to stall here into the end phase to get that effect. Normal or special summoning the Gamma Seal now while he controls, his opponent controls a Kaiju. He could either leave it, but he's going to opt to crash, which will ultimately turn on his Sky Striker spells again. But I guess it doesn't matter. In the his opponent's next turn, he's going to be able to send it off either Area 0 or multi-roll. Now that end phase effect of Miscellaneous Source resolving to destroy whatever card it summoned, that's going to trigger the Petty Ranadon effect to summon out Pankratops, which could prove to be a bit of an issue. But it's so low life points at this point for our Dino player that it may not make a difference. Shuffling back the Metal Foes Fusion back to the deck to draw a card, and using Widow Anchor to bait out the Pankratops to clear the multi-roll. But now at this point, all it takes is some damage and the game is over. Tempting to use multi-roll of his own, he Ghost Ogres his own multi-roll to get Ray on field to swing for that final amount of damage. A very, very clever way there to get some damage on board. Ghost Ogering your own Area 0, and yes, you can do that. I just checked because I was wondering how that Ghost Ogre got to the graveyard, but Ogering his own Area 0 to get Ray on board to ultimately swing for game. So despite Dino's lackluster performance there in Game 2, I think it made a pretty solid effort in Game 1. I think just bricking too many Kaijus was the problem there in Game 2. If he would have been able to keep applying pressure like he was Game 1, you know, he probably could have possibly won that game. Not entirely sure, but the pressure was there for Dino in Game 1 on the Sky Striker player, but it never fully seemed to be enough at the end of the day. But yeah, so that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like and let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Join the Discord if you haven't already, and follow me on Twitch as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, Winners Kills signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.